All right, what's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. So, the regular season is over for the NFL, and now comes the playoffs. And with the playoffs comes pressure. And I think it's safe to say that the player that's going through the most pressure heading into Wild Card Weekend is Lamar Jackson. I mean, you've got so many critics in the media and with the fans that are salivating at the mouth at the possibility of Lamar Jackson going 0-3 in the playoffs. I mean, that's heaven to them. If they can have that actually happen, the jokes they can get off, oh my God, they are preying on this young man's downfall. You can just tell certain people in the media, they want that to happen, to continue to push a narrative they have on Lamar Jackson. Speaking of that, that's kind of what we're here to talk about today, narratives. I think it's safe to say that there are two narratives on Lamar Jackson. One that will probably follow him for his career, and two, the one he actually has the opportunity to get rid of. Let's talk about the narrative that will most likely follow him throughout his career. I think we all know it. The whole Lamar Jackson can't throw, Lamar Jackson is a running back. That narrative will follow him throughout his career. That's never going to change. It really doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter how many touchdowns he throws. It doesn't matter what passing stats or records he puts up. People are not going to change their mind about this. A lot of people who said he was a running back will continue to call him a running back no matter what he does. Fun fact, since 2019, Lamar has thrown the 5th most passing touchdowns in the league. He's right behind Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and Tom Brady. He has 62 passing touchdowns since 2019. But he's a running back. Lamar Jackson's also 47 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in the red zone. Passing. 47 passing touchdowns to 0 interceptions in the red zone. He's the first quarterback in history to do that. I don't know how long that streak's going to go, but he currently holds that record. But he's a running back. Like I said, no matter what statistic you throw out there, no matter what passing stats you show, people are not going to change this narrative of Lamar Jackson not being able to throw or Lamar Jackson, being nothing more than a running back. Despite the fact that the stats and the film would show you that this guy can throw and he's not just a running back, people are not going to change this narrative. And as Ravens fans, we kind of just have to accept that, We dealt with the whole Flacco is not elite during the time we were going to playoffs and, the championship games and eventually to the Super Bowl. We dealt with the whole Flacco is not elite. So we're used to having our quarterback deal with some sort of title being put on him. We went from the not elite Joe Flacco to running back Lamar Jackson. And again, the whole Flacco being not elite, I can argue for him being elite in the postseason and that specifically mattering. And even in some cases, the fact that he wasn't putting up elite numbers, but he was still taking the team to the playoffs. First 5 years, he was in 3 AFC championship games. That seems like an elite quarterback for him to be able to show up and do what he was doing. But then again, you look at those playoff games early on, and he wasn't the reason we won those playoff games. He kind of was just there to manage the game, but this is going off topic. I'm not even trying to talk about that. But, the man won a Super Bowl with us. He competed and won a lot of playoff games. You can make that argument there. But now we're dealing with Lamar, and he has the title of running back on him. And that's not necessarily going to change anytime soon. So Ravens flock, we just got to accept that, At this point, if you choose to call him that, I don't really care. Call him a running back, receiver, quarterback, whatever you want to call him. I call him a baller, and I just love to do his games. I'm not really going to care anymore what you call him. The man, you can call him whatever you want. He plays the position of quarterback. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what people call you, it's what you answer to. You can call Lamar Jackson a running back all day, but if he answers to you calling him a quarterback, that's what he's going to do. Us calling him a running back or us calling, all the critics that are calling him a running back, continue to call him that. It's not going to change the fact that he's going to continue to be a quarterback. You can pray for his downfall, but he's going to continue to work hard to be successful. But that's just the narrative that's going to follow Lamar Jackson throughout his career. It doesn't matter. You can't argue with these people. They're not changing their mind. The second narrative that's going to follow him is something he can actually fix. And that is the Lamar Jackson can't win a playoff game narrative. He's been to the postseason twice. He's also been in the league 3 years. This will be his 3rd trip. He's 0-2 in the playoffs. And in both of those playoff games, he did not necessarily play well. Now, I feel like a lot of people look at that first playoff game, and they tend to exaggerate too much. Through 3 quarters, he did not look well, but he had a hell of a fourth quarter, and the team almost came back. And people don't want to bring that up. You know, they look at him like, well, what about the first 3 quarters? Yeah, well, go look at the first 3 quarters for Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Trust me, I remember. I never forgot that. I remember how Twitter was roasting him and preparing to crucify Patrick Mahomes after 3 quarters in that Super Bowl. But he pulled it off with 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they won the Super Bowl. And now all of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes is a GOAT. You see how the narrative changed so quickly? If you were on Twitter during the first half in that third quarter when he threw that second pick, people were ready to end Mahomes. Oh my God. But he pulled through and won, so that's at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And then in the second playoff game for Lamar, he put all these high stat numbers, but honestly, they don't mean nothing. To me, passing yards, I don't give a damn about passing yards. They mean nothing to me. I want touchdown passes. I want points scored. I like efficiency. I don't care about passing yards. If you can give me 5 touchdown passes with under 200-yard passing, I will take it. I'll take that over having 3 touchdown passes, 350 yards passing, we lose the game. I don't care about passing yards. They're the most overrated stat in the league. I might have to make a video on that one day. But you know, yeah, the 2 playoff games for Lamar Jackson, he wasn't exactly great in it. And now he's heading into his 3rd playoff game, and it's a rematch of last year's divisional round matchup between the Ravens and Titans. If he loses this game, honestly, the narrative will stick. He will be seen as a quarterback that either can't win a playoff game or will always choke once he gets to the postseason. I think it's safe to say after 3 seasons, Lamar's proven he can bring this team to the postseason. He can carry his squad to the playoffs. There is not a single thing Lamar has left to prove in the regular season. He's done it all, man. He's won his division. He's been to the playoffs all 3 times. He's gotten the number 1 seed in the AFC, took that away from Mahomes. He's been on first team all-pro quarterback. He's been a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's won an MVP. There's nothing left for him to specifically prove in the regular season. He's made history. I mean, for God's sakes, back-to-back years of 1,000 yards rushing. He's done everything in the regular season. There is no more question about what Lamar Jackson can do in the regular season. All that is left is to question how he can play in the postseason. And if he does not show up on Sunday and the team loses that game again, the narrative of Lamar can't win a playoff game or Lamar chokes in the playoffs will officially stick. And I know a lot of us will bring up Peyton Manning was 0-3 and he still found a way to win Super Bowls. That is correct. But you got to remember, the narrative never left Peyton Manning. He was always seen as a choker, even though he had the 2 Super Bowl championships. Everyone looked at him and said he was a playoff choker. He won championships, and that shows his greatness. That's why he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. But in a lot of people's minds, he could never truly be the GOAT because he was a playoff choker, and that never left him in his career. If Lamar goes 0-3, no matter what he does moving forward, he's going to be seen as a playoff choker. That's just the narrative that's going to stick there. And with that, because of that, he's got to find a way to win on Sunday. With that level of narrative, that is built up because of the expectations that it's put on him. The narrative can't thrive if there's no expectations put on him. And this is something I talked about last year. After we lost that playoff game to the Titans, I believe it was like, a day or 2 after, I posted a video about the expectations and narratives that will follow Lamar Jackson moving forward in his career. And it's up to him to respond to those narratives and expectations by going out and actually winning a Super Bowl. So we all know Lamar Jackson is the MVP. He won that last year, won unanimous MVP, and he came into this season with that title. Once you win an MVP as a quarterback, everything changes. The expectation changes, the narrative changes, the standard that you are held to is changed. No matter what the media wants to say, you are held to a higher standard. Once you win an MVP, you're expected to compete for a championship. You can't just make the playoffs and think that's just enough. Making the playoffs is not enough. Coming into this year, it was pretty much a situation where it's like you have to legitimately be competing for championships. You can't just make the playoffs and then go one and done. You're an MVP quarterback. You have to show that. And you show that by winning in the postseason. It all starts with that. From this point forward in Lamar Jackson's career, now that he's an MVP, he has to make the playoffs. You've got to be in the playoffs nearly every year, competing for a championship, and hopefully you do break through. If you don't, people will really question your career. They will question all your accomplishments you've done in the regular season. If you're doing all this great stuff in the regular season and you're doing nothing in the postseason, people are going to question you. And that is where Lamar Jackson has to respond to that. Because through 2 playoff games, even though it's not his fault, and it's not all his fault, he definitely does get blamed. His performance in those games were not great. He was poor, especially in that second one. He was very poor in that second one. But at the same time, I can look at several other people and several different things from that playoff game last year and point to them and say, this was a whole team effort. The coaching was questionable. They didn't make the adjustments. The defense couldn't make a stop. The receivers couldn't catch the ball. They didn't even try to run the football. They gave up on running the football relatively early. Like the fact that Lamar Jackson threw the ball 59 times shows that they just gave up on running the football. And there was a clear difference with that. So there's so many things I can point to there. But again, the media doesn't care. When you are an MVP quarterback, the expectation's high for you. They're there for you. You're expected to compete for a championship. No matter what happens, you've got to find a way to win the game. So that's kind of the situation Lamar Jackson's in coming into this postseason. I talked about it before the season started. I said, Lamar Jackson, now that you are an MVP, you will be held to a higher standard. You're going to have to be able to come out here, win 11, 12 games, get into the playoffs, and compete for a championship. You don't have to win your division every year. Just make the playoffs and compete for a championship. You can't make it there and then just go one and done. That would be unexcusable. And that will add to the narrative of you being a playoff choker or somebody that can't win a playoff game. So, Lamar, the ball's in your court. It's pretty much up to you, you know. This game on Sunday is against the Titans. Obviously, this is a team thing, and trust me, I know. I'll probably be talking about this as the week comes up, but this whole Ravens squad, as of late in the postseason, has not shown up. I mean, the coaching has been very questionable. The defense has not shown up. I never forgot what happened against New England back in, 2014, 2015, where they blew 2 14-point leads. Like, our defense was so bad. Like, I never forgot about that. The defense has not been the same in the postseason since the Super Bowl win. And obviously we know why, because of the guys we lost. But, like, I have a lot of questions about this Ravens team as a whole heading into Sunday against Tennessee. But the good news is they're on the road, and if there's anything John Harbaugh can do is lead his team to a win on the road. 7 of his 10 playoff wins as a coach were on the road after all, so we'll see what happens. With that being said, Lamar, the pressure's on you, man. Sunday, a lot of people are going to be watching you. All eyes will be on you. Your critics will be sitting there hoping for you to fail. And trust me, if you give them material, they will not let it go. If Lamar Jackson goes 0-3, nobody can defend him. I can't defend him. None of the fan base can defend him. Even if it's not his fault, people are not going to care. You are an MVP. You find a way to get it done. That's just how it is. With that being said, we'll see what happens. That's really all I got for this topic. This week should be interesting. I believe starting tomorrow, I'll be getting out my playoff predictions. I'm hoping to do every single game individually because I want to talk about those specific teams like that. So we'll see what happens. I'm also going to be talking about the Ravens as well. Matter of fact, I don't know if I'm going to start it right now or later on, but I definitely got to talk about the Ravens and how they've been in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there. With that being said, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and I'm out of here, man. Peace!